thank you for this day that you have given us. Guide us with your wisdom on our work today and help us make wise decisions for the people of Wood County. Also, we pray for the men and women in our armed forces and the protective services that keep us safe in our great land. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Supervisor Hamilton, and thank you, everyone, all the residents of Wood County, for their attendance here at today's meeting. I am going to ask for a little bit of latitude with our board today as we take some of these issues in what might not be the order that you found in the packet. We obviously have a lot of people here that probably don't want to stay to the very end of what could be a 3-hour meeting. So without objection, unless somebody objects, we're going to take this in a way where we can move people in and out of here as expeditiously as possible. So the first thing, though, I have is the minutes from the previous meeting, and I need a motion to approve. And a motion by Fire and a second by Curry. Are there any discussion on the minutes from the previous meeting? Any discussion? All in favor of approval, please signify by aye. Aye. And opposed, and that carries. We have no excusals today. We have no resignations today. Under appointments today, and I'll take these as a group unless there's objection. Any objection to that? To the ADRC, Don Schwittenberg. To the Veterans Service Commission, Tom Heiser for a 3-year term. The Civil Service Commission, Lee Garrels for a 5-year term. And to the Ethics Committee, Jeffrey Conrad and Robert Whitrock for 3-year terms. Motion to that effect by Supervisor Henkel, a second by Supervisor LaFontaine. Any discussion? All in favor of those appointments, please signify by aye. Aye. And opposed, and again, that carries unanimously. At this point in time, I'm going to do the acknowledgments and recognitions, and then after that, we're going to go to public comment immediately. So, acknowledgments and recognitions, I'm going to start right away with Brent Bruin. And Brent, where are you sitting? Right there, right in front of me. And Brent has a plaque presentation to Pam Piotrowski.
I didn't know what was going first. I was hoping to learn some things from the other speakers as far as what to say. I tend to be at a loss of words on stage.
I think you have to turn that on. It is on. Turn it on to the green light.
The green light is on.
Oh, okay. Can't hear.
So we're recognized today Pam Piotrowski, who has been with the Wood County Child Support Agency for just under 19 years. Pam started her career in Portage County working for Portage County Health and Human Services as an income maintenance worker in 1987. In April of '87, the time I was just completing my first year of kindergarten. I only went to kindergarten once, just to clarify. And she came to Wood County in 1999, January of 1999, and has been here at the Child Support Agency ever since. To speak about Pam and to try to put it in words wouldn't do her service justice. Pam is a person that is dedicated to the citizens that she serves in Wood County. She is the epitome of public service, and she values the customers that we serve. She is polite, courteous. She wants the best outcome for everybody involved. She takes the time to explain things and do things the right way. Over my time here in the Child Support Agency, just about 9 years, Pam has taught me more than I could ever explain as well. How to communicate with people, her take on life and the world are second to none. And so with that, Pam, I would like to give you this plaque, and congratulations for everything you've done with the Child Support Office. You've been a wonderful person.
Thank you, Brent.
Next up, Supervisor Bill Lightnum, recognition of our Register of Deeds, Susan Ginter. I was a little concerned while he's working his way up here. You said your first year at kindergarten. How many years of kindergarten did you do?
I did clarify that. I was only one year.
And Mr. Chairman, while we're on the kindergarten thing, I did 7th grade 35 times. I was a school teacher. This morning, we're honoring Susan Genter, Wood County's 22nd Register of Deeds. She's retiring December 31st. I was asked to make this presentation because I'm Susan's contact person on her oversight committee. Susan came to us in Wood County from Maryland, and she was hired on June 22nd, 1999, served for 12 years as deputy clerk of court. On March 28, 2011, she was appointed Register of Deeds by Governor Walker, and she's faced several elections since. Under her leadership, Wood County began recording documents electronically. Today, documents are given a number without a citizen needing to even come to the courthouse, and then they are not even physically handled by the staff, owing to the electronic nature of today's society. Now here to talk about Susan's involvement in the State Register of Deeds Association is Sarah Gunther. Sarah is the Green Lake County Register of Deeds.
Thank you so much. It is an honor to be here today to speak on behalf of Register of Deeds Susan Genter. I would like to thank Chairman Plimo and the Board of Supervisors for the opportunity. Susan and I met in 2003 when I was elected Register of Deeds for Green Lake County. I started my career as registrar in not such a conventional fashion. I was in law enforcement for 27 years and then beat the incumbent Register of Deeds. As with many associations, relationships run deep, and the previous register had many friends and acquaintances within our district and the association. Susan was the first and only for a period of time that gave me the opportunity to prove myself for our district and the association. As many of you know, Susan is wise beyond her years and saw some type of character and commitment in me. She was able to recognize that because she embodies those characteristics as well. Susan also understands what it means to be an elected official. As Register of Deeds, we have many duties. We are the keeper of county history, its people, and its lands. We record real estate documents and military documents, process and issue vital records, and are required to interpret statutes on a daily basis. Susan's understanding of those statutes has been a huge benefit to our association. As an elected official, we serve not only the public, but we also serve our business partners throughout the title industry, real estate, banking, as well as attorneys, doctors, funeral homes within our community. Those duties are the core functions of our office, but yet they go far beyond those that were mentioned. As you well know, when you are an elected official, you are elected by the people, for the people. Our job is one that reaches to many lives and constituents, the county, and our business partners. So that brings me to the example of the commitment that Susan has given us for statewide issuance. Susan has served on the Wisconsin Register of Deeds legislative team. She's been an integral part of our success. In March of 2016, in less than 3 months, we passed a bill through the legislature that allows a citizen to get their birth certificate anywhere in the state of Wisconsin. Marriage, death, and divorce are available, but with some limitations, and will be available soon. You may ask, why is this such a big deal? Within 2 years, you will be required to obtain a new Real ID driver's license. You will need your birth certificate, marriage, divorce to obtain this new Real ID driver's license. So if you were born in Milwaukee County, you would have to drive to Milwaukee County or send for those certificates. But now you live in beautiful Wood County, so you can go to the Wood County Register of Deeds and get your birth certificate. Susan has helped pass 7 bills in 2 years in the legislature. Our association was instrumental in getting the sheriff's deed bill recently passed through the legislature. This assures the sheriff's deed will be recorded by requiring the deed flows from the sheriff to the clerk of court to the Register of Deeds. Susan helped with a form that we can use with that sheriff's deed process. When Susan was Chief Deputy Clerk of Courts, she and the Sheriff's Department deputy worked on creating a form for sheriff sales. This form has been used around the state of Wisconsin to help other counties with the sheriff sale process. Susan was a pilot for that project. Susan has been our district chair for the past 5 years and serves on our Joint Alpha Committee. Her service is notable in Wood County as well. She is a stickler with her budget and always looks for ways to help save the taxpayers' money to bring additional revenues to Wood County. Susan has a working relationship with the county board and is respected throughout the county. She is active in her church and attends many functions in the community. I would like to conclude in saying that Susan has been a mentor, a champion for her constituents in this county, and a model of public service and what it should look like. I think too often people look at what's in it for themselves, and she is always looking for what's good for her constituents. Susan exemplifies what service is, and I would like to share a couple quotes to conclude that reflect Susan's career. And that is, when to give real service, you must add something which cannot be bought or measured with money, and that is sincerity and integrity. It is not fair to ask of others what you are not willing to do yourself. And finally, a quote from Abe Lincoln, whatever you are, be a good one. Susan is a good one. Wood County is not only losing a Register of Deeds, but the Wisconsin Register of Deeds Association is losing a tremendous asset to the state of Wisconsin. I wish Susan a very happy retirement with her husband Jim, her 4 wonderful children, and her grandchildren. Congratulations, Susan.
I just want to say, first off, this is a surprise, and also we have Margot Ketterhagen from Barron County who drove all the way down here to see me say goodbye. Thank you, Margot. And I do want to say, Wood County's been very good to me, and for that I'm very grateful. Thank you.
So Susan's plaque says, for 18 years and 6 months of faithful service, the people of Wood County, well, an awful lot of people from Wood County here, thank you.
Again, those are 2 of our employees who are retiring, and the feeling is mutual. We're going to miss both of you greatly. Susan's position will be filled by Governor Walker. That is the process for filling a Register of Deeds office midterm. So now we'll get on with the other recognition. These are people who have not retired. We'll start with the junior employees, the ones that have been here only 25 years. So I guess I'm going to call on Doug Pasno, our Highway Commissioner, first.
Carl Warner, in the dictionary, dedication, that his name should be under that. Anytime it like snow or anything, Carl would be the first one to the highway department. As a matter of fact, I asked him to come about 2 weeks ago, and he agreed to come, but he knows it's going to snow tomorrow, so you can bet what he's doing. He's probably getting prepped for tomorrow's and the snowstorm coming. So with that, he is a dedicated employee. Thank you very much.
Next up, Cindy Robinson. Cindy has 3 recognitions to do today. I think she's in the room somewhere. Over there. And so we don't call up our department heads multiple times. Cindy has I think a 25 to 30 and a 35-year recognition today.
Good morning. Unfortunately, all 3 of my people could not be here today. One of them had a doctor's appointment, one of them was sick, and the other one couldn't get away because of a family issue at the facility that she had to deal with. They regret that they could not be here. Crystal Tiffany, CNA at our facility for 25 years, and I cannot say enough about CNAs. We have 2 of them that we're honoring today. The other one is Leanne Bowden for 30 years of experience with the CNA. For those of you who don't know what a CNA does, and look at Donna. They are the heart of our work. So to them, congratulations. Kathleen Zellner is also 35 years. She is the heart of our business office. And when I say meeting with families, those families, they come in, and it's usually the family members that are hurting so much. It is not an easy thing to put your loved one in a facility, and the financial piece of it, unfortunately, has to be dealt with. And Kathy does many things, but that is one piece of her job that she has to do, and I say has to because it's a very difficult thing sometimes. So Kathy, she's my touch tone there. If I have a question I cannot get answered, I know who I need to go to, and that's Kathy. So on behalf of Kathy, thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Brandon Bruin. You're not seeing double. You got 2 of them.
Back to your place so that you can
We should have new tiles by department.
Sorry.
So yes, there's two of us. Fortunately, I'm going last, so I could get the last word if I wanted to, but I'll be respectful of Brent, just to kind of show him how respect works. So, first I'm going to start with Mark Cross, who's been here 35 years. Mark is not able to join us today because he's dedicated to his work, and he said, you know what, I'm just not able to come today. I've already got something scheduled. So, but I'd like to recognize Mark. He's worked 35 years out of our Cornerstone office in Marshfield. Mark's real drive has been to make Cornerstone like a community, and that's how he treats his job. He's created a number of great connections throughout his 35 years of service in Wood County, and continues to do so. We look forward to continuing to work with him for the very near future. So I'd like to recognize Mark. 35 years is a long time. Next, I'd like to recognize Jack Ferris, and Jack is here. There he is. Come on up, Jack. So I'm fortunate enough to have Jack as my neighbor at the River Block building. So I'm not sure if Jack would share that he's fortunate, but I will say that I'm fortunate that he's my neighbor at River Block. Jack works in a children's long-term support unit, helping kids get a jump start on their life. He's very dedicated to that mission and the mission of our agency. Jack has a great sense of humor. I'd like to crack a couple jokes, but Jack would probably outdo me, so I'm not going to try and keep up with them. But Jack brings a great deal of life to our agency, keeps things light and fun, but takes his work very seriously as well. So I want to recognize Jack for 25 years of service. We're very happy to have him, and I look forward to being my neighbor for a long time, Jack.
Cindy, you're going to be at that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. We have Bill Van Meter in the house. Come on in. Bill started with the county in 1987. He is our walking encyclopedia of our courthouse and many of our other buildings. If there's an issue and we have questions, he usually has the answers. It's hard for me to know what to say about someone who's worked for Wood County for over 30 years. I think there's many who would offer condolences and suggest counseling. I'm thankful that we have in this room and in our system in the county a lot of experience. I'm newer to the county, and I find great value in being able to lean on people that have been here a lot of years and can offer that experience. So I hope you'll join me in offering sincere gratitude and thank you, especially to those like Bill who have served Wood County and worked hard for a long period of time. So thank you, Bill, for 30 years of service to Wood County.
Good morning. Good morning. Jackie, Jackie was not able to be here this morning either. After 30 years of service, I will not begin to try to enumerate all that she brings to the office because of the wealth of knowledge she has. We're just very grateful to have her in the office. This will be presented at one of our meetings. So on Jackie's behalf, thank you very much.
Bring back Susan Ginter for an encore. And then after Susan, we have one more employee recognition. That'll be Jordan.
On behalf of Deborah Kaminsky, serving 30 years, thank you.
Good morning, everybody. 35 years ago was a pretty big year. The following year, 1983, I was born. But 35 years ago, we had a young lady by the name of Joanne Gattung, who started with us in our kitchen up at Norwood Health Center. Joanne's been in the same kitchen for the last 35 years and is just a wonderful employee, very friendly. This year, we are projected to make about 170,000 meals for residents of Wood County and Marathon County. So if you can just multiply that out by 35 years, that's a lot of food that Joanne has helped prepare. So she's busy in the kitchen today working. Couldn't be here today, but certainly want to thank Joanne for her 35 years of service. Thank you.
All of those recognized, whether they're retiring or whether they continue to work for us, are part of that dedicated staff that make this county so successful. They're the nucleus of it. They are the backbone of what we do every day. So I want to thank them again. So thank you so much to all of those recognized today, and all those who will be in the future. 25 years, you get a nice plaque hanging there, guys. All right. We're going to go to public comment next. We obviously have a county boardroom completely full, standing room only. The rules of public comment are this. We'll ask you to go to the microphone. You have 3 minutes for public comment. When you go to the microphone, we'd ask that you state your name. There will be a clock up that you can see that'll tick that down. I'll ask you to watch that. I'll try not to interrupt unless I see that I think you can go real long. I might say 5 seconds or something like that. So with that, we will start the public comment period. Okay, go ahead and then following with Jim Genie. Go ahead. You'll all get a chance.
Pete Winnistorfer, 9962 Cary Rock Road, Pittsfield, Wisconsin. I'm chairman of the Rock Township, relief lieutenant, firefighter, critical care paramedic, child passenger safety seat technician with the City of Marshfield Fire and Rescue for the past 17 and a half years. Been a state licensed EMT since 1986. Today I'm speaking as a resident of Wood County, and I request that the Board of Supervisors rethink and vote no on item 3-1 on today's agenda in regards to horse-drawn vehicles. As representatives of this county, do you want to have knee-jerk reactions to situations? There is no denying the fact that there has been a number of unfortunate circumstances in the past few years involving horse and buggies, not only in Wood County, but in our neighboring counties as well. 3 accidents in Wood County alone, although it has been within a 7-year period, with 2 of these accidents being in a 1.5-year time frame, and unfortunately, those 2 accidents occurred in the Vesper area. So what happens when situations like this arise? We feel there should be someone or something to blame, and that causes a knee-jerk reaction. In my 32 years as an emergency responder, I've seen and been on far more accidents than I care to list. I responded with an ambulance on August 13th, 2009, when 6-week-old Ada Miller was killed after her parents' buggy was rear-ended and destroyed. This happened at 4:30 in the afternoon on a sunny day in Marshfield on McMillan Street in front of Security Health Building. Lights, seat belts, windshields, they weren't going to make a difference in saving the child. I've been on far more accidents and incidents involving autos versus farm machinery than horse and buggies versus auto. Statewide, the DOT records will confirm that implements of husbandry versus automobile is a continuous problem, not just horse-drawn vehicles. The difference between the 2 situations is metal versus metal is more conducive to life than metal versus wood. No one jumps up and down and says, get the tractors off the roads. That's because Wisconsin is an agricultural state. Since 1975, all tractors produced must have rollover protection devices and seatbelts. No windshields required, no driver's license required to operate them on any roads, no license plate required, and a tractor operator safety course is recommended, not required. The restrictions that are being proposed today, in my opinion, are biased and unethical in today's society. It seems that you are segregating a specific group of individuals within the county, and by asking the state to follow suit, to me, it seems like you want to stamp it and send it away. I ask that you look long and hard at this proposed ordinance. If it is passed today with the current language, you may believe that you are only dealing with one community. Not so. Any horse-drawn vehicle will be affected by this ordinance. That includes hay rides, sleigh rides, parades, farm technology days.
That's time. I apologize, I don't want to cut anybody off, but we got a lot of people here, and I have to abide by the county board rule. Mr. Dean.
Hi, Jim G. Wisconsin Rapids. For those of you that know me, I'm not politically correct. This resolution, it says that it would go into effect on passage and publication. In the exact thing that goes that quick, there's not enough time to implement it. Enforce the traffic regulations for motor vehicles, all motor vehicles. And are they going to have to take their carriages to DMV for a driver's license test? This is stupid. Liability insurance, they have their own. If you want lights, provide them with battery LED lights. The LEDs have a 10,000-hour lifespan, and they draw less electricity from the batteries. Safety belts, for what? A safety seat for kids, for what? They're being held by their parents in a slow-moving carriage. Windshields, side windows, rear windows. Why? Why so far-fetched? If this thing goes into effect, then you need to put it into effect for all vehicles. ATVs, motorcycles, hay rides, carriages, and other tractor-drawn trailers. This is government run amok. This is why the Tea Party was formed and the saying drain the swamp came around. These are invasive regulations and unneeded. Teaching traffic safety in their schools, only if it's a requirement in all schools. Go after the real causes of accidents. Drunk drivers, hate crime people. In closing, battery-operated LED lights. That's one thing. Reflective tape. That's two things. And a push bucket. That's three things. That's all that should be in Resolution 3-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ally Salo. I am a local farrier here for Wood County. I am here today to talk about the ordinance that is involving the Amish. This requires a license with the Department of Motor Vehicles, but according to Wood County Sheriff's Department, buggies are not documented or classified as vehicles and cannot be looked up as such in accident reports. People are allowed to operate tractors and other heavy farm equipment without a certified license from the DMV. Therefore, it's unreasonable to insist that the Amish are required to have one to drive their buggies. The average Amish family has 6 to 8 children. Because their buggies can only fit 2 or 3 safety seats, requiring one for all children under 8 would mean that the families would have to take 2 or more buggies. It is completely unreasonable to require seat belts for all occupants of a buggy. The buggies are not made to withstand crashes and will shatter on impact with a motor vehicle. Buggies do not travel fast enough to require seat belts, and in the case of an accident, it would be better for the occupants to be thrown from the buggy than stuck inside. Concerning all other sections of this ordinance, including the windshields, mirrors, lights, and tapes, most, if not all, buggies are equipped with more than adequate lighting and visibility features. The push is illogical, and incredibly expensive renovations to their buggies is unacceptable. If this ordinance were enacted, barrier in any other horse-related business would be affected by the quick decrease in horse sales, since our horses in central Wisconsin are primarily bred and raised by the Amish. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Adrian Week. I grew up on County HH in Vesper and have many friends and neighbors who are Amish, and this new ordinance directly affects them. Required by the ordinance is that the operators of an animal-drawn vehicle must maintain vehicle liability insurance. This rule directly targets the element of the Amish religion that restricts them from acquiring any kind of insurance. They pay for themselves and they help one another out. This agreement they made within their religion is bound by documentation. Regarding the manure catchers that would be needed, there are two types of manure catchers. The first one is attached to the sides of the harness behind the horse's buttocks, down to the buggy. The issue with this is that the catcher is pressed against the buttocks and rubs the hair and skin off the horses, causing possible sores and irritations. The second one attaches to the top of the harness and hangs down to catch the poop. The issue with this one is that the bag is sloppy and will bang against the horse's hind end. As the bag gets heavier, the harder it will slap the horses. I own 5 horses myself, and I know from experience that these horses are not walking casually, but are traveling with excessive leg movement, and the bags may cause some of the horses to spook and hurt someone. The bags are not only impractical, but they're also incredibly expensive. Upon research, you may find that the cheapest manure bag goes for around $65. I have personally spoken with a few Amish in my community, and they all agree that this ordinance would force them to leave the county. If all the Amish left, not only would we be losing our friends and neighbors, but our local economy would be crushed. Many business owners rely on the Amish to work with them and for them. They're hardworking people, and we as English just can't match the work ethic. They want to be as safe as they can, and they have complied with current regulations, but this law is asking too much of them. It's expensive, it's unrealistic, and it's unfair. By passing this ordinance, the county board is saying that they do not want the Amish in our community. The ordinance does not speak on the behalf of the citizens of the county, and it does not represent our feelings towards the Amish. They are the best neighbors and friends, and we would hate to see them go. If this ordinance passes, I will be contacting the ACLU of Wisconsin about filing a lawsuit, and they will take it into their hands. This is discriminatory specifically against the Amish by ordering them to obtain insurance that is against their religion to have. Thank you.
Jeff Neese, semi-retired consulting forester. I live in Northwood County, a county inn in Parkland. I agree with the previous speakers, especially the very first speaker. I think that the board should vote against both of these ordinances and resolutions because I think they are mean-spirited and unethical. I agree that we do need to have some safety issues resolved. The first half of my career, I worked as a county ag agent in Michigan, and I worked with farm safety issues through Michigan State University. I also worked with an Amish community in west central Michigan in the decade of the 1980s. Some of the same families that I worked with in Michigan, I later encountered in Clark County in my forestry work. I've worked with Amish in logging and forestry issues, land line issues, and we have a close relationship with the Amish community in our church in Arden. In fact, our church was greatly affected by the tragic death of Christian Kemp and his son. And that was not because of the buggy as much as it was because of drunk driving. Obviously, we need to make sure that our Amish neighbors are as safe as they can be, but we do not need to ask them to start a new bureaucracy, licensing, liability insurance, and all these English institutions that are not necessary. One final thing. 2 days ago, in front of our house, there was a wagon full of firewood being hauled by an underage tractor driver on an antique tractor. An older man was sitting on top of the firewood, going down the highway at about 15 miles per hour, and an underage child was driving the tractor, no seatbelt, no car seat, no nothing. And we commented about how unsafe that was. So if the county board is going to make the Amish comply, then they need to make everyone comply with farm safety issues, tractor pulls, hay wagons, whatever. And in my opinion, manure spreaders in front of my home drop a lot more cow poop than the Amish going back and forth between their communities ever drop horse poop. So the county board should enact an ordinance forcing farmers to power wash manure spreaders before they move from field to field, or put poop wagons on the manure spreaders as well as the Amish horses. Thank you. Thank you.
Mike Hens, Wisconsin Rapids. I've got to know the Amish in the last couple of years, helped them out. They're the kind of people we need around here. They, for all that I've seen, they're hard workers, dedicated. I have a problem. The only problem I had one time was picking one up in the morning at 6 o'clock. He had to get his chores done before I picked him up. Now, go downtown through Rapids and see how many people have help wanted signs, and they can't get somebody to come in on regular hours. So I think we need these people around. I think we need common sense with these rules. They need something good on the back, lighted on the back of their wagons or their buggies. That makes sense. But this other stuff is a bunch of crap as far as I'm concerned. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mark Stroop. I live on 7221 Maplewood Road in Arpin. I have a lot of contact with the Amish also, and I have horses myself. And a lot of it, and how many people here, and how many people know how to come up on a vehicle that's horse-driven? How many people trying to push these ordinances know anything about a horse, or ever drove a horse and buggy? When I come up on a horse-drawn vehicle, I watch the horse's legs, see if his pace changes. As you come up alongside, you watch his head, you watch his eyes, you see if his ears are changing. You decide when you can accelerate and go around and by what the horse is doing. I ride Harley. Now, most horses hate motorcycles. And my Harley sounds just like every other Harley. So I know back down the road that I need to accelerate a little so I can pull in the clutch. When I come around the buggy, I know to idle until I'm well clear of them and I can get back on the throttle. How many people have any education about what a horse is thinking at any moment? The very best horse can be sound as can be in traffic pro. As that horse is going along, traffic maybe doesn't mean anything to him. But a deer jumping out at the ditch, out of the ditch right there, will send that horse out in front of you. So a horse is a horse. And until people understand how to drive around a horse or understand horses a little bit, other accidents will occur. When you pull up with a buggy, I have a buggy myself. When you pull up with a buggy to a stop sign, you're 20 feet behind the stop sign if you stop the horse at the buggy. So now you're supposed to inch out a little bit and check for traffic. If people see the horse's nose there, do they think, oh, maybe I should slow down? They might start eking forward. Where is the education in our society about how to drive horses? My daughter's 17, and I'll guarantee you, she has her driver's license, and she didn't have 20 seconds worth of training on how to drive in a situation where there's horses. So really, what we need is education, not regulation. It's a lot easier to teach everyone driving a car a little bit about horses than it is to teach the Amish about driving a car. And so that being said, maybe some programs might be looked at in the schools for driver education. There is a big influx of horse-drawn vehicles in the county, and it should be part of the driver education program. Also, I'm bringing up a new horse, and that'll be driving rather than riding. I look to the Amish to teach my horse and myself to drive safe. They're the best horsemen around. But still, there's a lot of the people that don't understand the concept. They think a horse is just going to continue straight down the road, blow by you at 50 miles an hour, and think that horse is just going to stand there. They need a little education. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, my name is Christy Berleman. I am from Highway H, Marshfield, by the racetrack, so you kind of know where I'm at. I am a retired registered nurse that worked 13 years in pediatrics at St. Joseph's Hospital. At the time, I saw many different things happen in both communities, Amish and non-Amish. The injuries that I saw and took care of the Amish children, adults, was all caused by a negligent motor vehicle driver. I was also the nurse at the time that Ada Mae Miller was horribly injured. I was an RN working in case management at Security Health Clinic. I came on to the scene of poor Ada Mae and her family. I resuscitated Ada Mae, knowing full well that her chances of survival were minimal. This young baby and this beautiful family were horribly affected by a drug-addicted criminal that smashed into their slow-moving vehicle. This vehicle, driven by William Miller, which is here today. I'm a driver for the Amish. They have become a beautiful group of people, friends of mine, because they were touched by me coming and helping them in a horrific scene. These are nice people, they're hardworking. I've seen one time a vehicle, a horse-drawn vehicle that I couldn't visibly see well enough on Highway 10. I did inform some of the elders in that community, the Granton and Children's area, and they addressed it with these people. These people are hardworking, loving, forgiving, Christian people, and they have many Christian beliefs that do not follow in our footsteps of electricity and batteries and so forth, but they are very, very much conforming to as many laws that we put on them. Please consider these things. And every one of the infractions of the laws have been against people from our community, not their community. We need to be insightful, teach our children, our new drivers, and our age 16 to whatever age, to be aware of these small moving vehicles and what to do in case of approaching them from the rear. That's probably the most dangerous thing, but we need to slow down as if we would for anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Corbin King from Vesper. I agree with everyone that spoke before me. There's just a few things I'd like to kind of challenge the board to think about that haven't been discussed. First off, what proof do they have that these changes would make a difference in accidents? It seems to me that someone would have to run trial tests on seat belts in buggies and child safety seats, and who's going to pay for that? Is that going to be Wood County taxpayers? Secondly, can a board even do that, implement laws and regulations that are controlled by the DOT? And thirdly, is the board setting up the county for lawsuits costing taxpayers money? In my limited research, it's very easy for me to find multiple lawsuits that even went to the Supreme Court level, Wisconsin versus Yoder, and State versus Miller, that acted in the defendant's case, citing many regulations, including violating freedom of exercise and freedom of conscience, Article 1, Section 18 of the Wisconsin Constitution. And those were simple cases as far as trying to implement slow-moving vehicle signs on the back of buggies. What you're suggesting is far more detailed. In summary, I would say that I agree that road safety is and should be a great concern to this county. But this ordinance seems unfairly proposed, and if passed, is potentially set up for some very expensive litigation. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name is Eric Smith. I'm going to speak to you on behalf of an authority. I am a director and secretary for the Frisian Horse Association of America. I'm a clinician that teaches horses and drivers from the Atlantic to the Pacific, from the Gulf of Mexico to Canada, on safety, on performance, and other things like that. I am also a competitive driver. I own 8 horse-drawn vehicles that I use on the road. This affects me as well as the Amish community. This is not what you think. So I think about this, and I ask you guys to think about this, that this is overbearing and overcompensating. So let's talk about safety issues that you think that we're covering. Seatbelts. This is a vehicle that travels from 5 to 15 miles an hour. That's it. A marathon runner can go as faster than these vehicles. A bicycle runs faster than these vehicles. Do we put seatbelts on those? In a rollover, my vehicles would severely harm a person that was strapped in. I have open vehicles. I can't fit these safety devices that you ask me to put on. My vehicles go back to the 1880s all the way to the 2000s. They don't work. They're not what we want them to be. So let's talk a little bit more about this. Why would we do this? What was the precipice on this? Why? Well, we want to control. We want to control people. But this is not what we're trying to get. This is more about what we need to do. And think about the forecast of what we want in this area. Can we have parades? Horse-drawn vehicles and parades. They're done. Even if we exempt them from the parade, they can't get to the parade and away from the parade. You just stopped it. You just put all of us in a new position. There is nothing here that safety would make them more safe. This is more about prejudice and bigotry. So I want to ask why this got through 3 committees without these questions being asked. Shame. Now it's coming to the board. I'm going to ask you to take a vote on this and vote no and show your vote. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Arnold King, a Wood County resident, a business person that has employed some of the Amish people, one that is deceased because of an accident a couple of years ago. And so this is hits home for me as well as a lot of other people in the room here today. And I also own horses and buggies, just like the previous speaker spoke about. They go back to the early 1900s, what my grandparents used to use. And these regulations, I figure, are way over the top. I think the board definitely needs to reconsider what they're looking at. I understand safety reasons, lighting is one issue. but the other issues that are brought on board are quite ridiculous. Again, like some of the other speakers said, what are we going to do? Put seat belts on bicycles, on motorcycles? Are you going to impose all those? Where do we stop? Are we becoming a dictatorship telling other people what they must follow that we believe? Question I've got for the board is, who are you representing? Who voted you in? Do the majority feel the way that your proposal is stated? I think not. I think it's probably just the opposite. So I would give it careful consideration when you vote today and vote no.
My name is Tom Heiser. I'm a retired police chief, town of Grand Rapids, over 30 years. You talk about safety. Mr. Zerflu and I did bicycle rodeos for years in the grade schools. Those have been eliminated. How many of you have seen bikes stop for a stop sign? Very few. People are blowing through them on bicycles. I've heard that this is overblown. No, I think it's been brought forward. The people of Wood County have shown up because they knew that this was on the agenda. I've also been told that this is a very bold activity. People of Wood County, be afraid, be very afraid if the county board passes things like this, because we are going to be overregulated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Rebecca Nisa from Arpin. We live on County N. We know the Amish as neighbors, as good neighbors. I would like to be able to affirm the spirit behind this proposal. If it is a spirit of care and concern for the public safety of all of us, I would like to be able to do that. I'm not sure that's the only motivation for this. Be that as it may, we are speaking about a community of adults, responsible, intelligent, self-governing people who care about their public safety as much or more than we do, and I think there needs to be some trust in their responsibility and their ability to take that responsibility. I think this law is at best paternalistic and insulting, as well as being impractical, and I really affirm the great arguments that we've heard here this morning. There's a phenomenon called blaming the victim, and in every accident that I know of, it has been an English motor vehicle driver, sometimes impaired, sometimes careless, and the victims of our carelessness and ignorance have been the Amish community. Do we then in turn place onerous restrictions upon the very people that have been victimized? That's what you call blaming the victim. And it might make us feel better, we passed this law, but it is false, it's erroneous, and it is unjust. It is unjust. I urge you to vote no.
My name is Beth Martin. I live in Wisconsin-Rapids, but I am the librarian in Arpin. So I drive back and forth on these roads every day, year after year. I haven't had very many problems, if any, with the Amish buggies. But I do have problems when I'm approaching an Amish buggy and I see another driver coming toward me, or I see someone coming behind me. Because inevitably, the guy behind me thinks that he wants to get past both of us very quickly, puts us all in danger. All the arguments I heard today were part of the things I was going to say. So I'm just going to go along and say we have some great arguments. We've heard some good conversation points here. I encourage the board to vote no on this resolution. There are other ways of dealing with this, of handling it. I think we need education for both sides. And we have an excellent network within the county, Wood County, of doing such a thing. But we need more, we need to know more. we need to examine both sides of this before we move ahead and put economic and safety restrictions on the Amish. Thank you.
My name is Don Kiefer from Pittsfield, Wisconsin. I encourage all the board members to vote no about any of this hogwash. The Amish are a very beneficial thing to our community, and also we got a separation of church and state. We got a constitution we got to follow here. I don't know who you guys think you are, where you guys think what laws you got to make. I know you're going to turn away from me, but I talked to one of you guys today, and I believe there's a personal vendetta here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Deb Benson. I live on County Road HH in Wisconsin Rapids. I spent 24 years being a 4-H horse and pony leader. So I've worked with a lot of kids, a lot of riders, and a lot of horses. One of the things that really shocked me reading the proposal was how it is always the person with the horse that is blamed. It is the drivers. We need to educate ourselves and our children. I myself have been on a horse going down a road and had people either try to push me off into a ditch, beep their horn at me, yell and scream, throw things out of the car. Semis, some are really nice. They'll slow down. Some will gun the engines. You need to educate us. We are the ones that are causing the killings. Because our life, we are in such a rush to get someplace. We are on our phones. We are drinking. People are doing drugs. Go after those people, not the innocent people that are the victims. When the Amish first moved into our area, there were a lot of rumors that I heard, and I'm sure others did too, that I found out later to be untrue. But there are still people who believe those rumors and people who hate this community of people. And some of them would do almost anything to get them to leave. And I suggest everybody in this room look at yourself, look at your neighbors, look at everybody on the board, and find out, is this because they're really worried about saving somebody? Or is this really because they want these people out of our area because they themselves do not like them? I do believe reflective tape on the backs, sides, and fronts of buggies, and I don't mean a lot, just enough that it would be reflected by our headlights. That would be a big help. Most of us in the area know to watch for the buggies. We know where the areas that they are in, and we try to be careful. And every now and again, you might not see it until it's 500 feet in front of you. Or when you're doing 65 miles an hour, because many people are speeding, you might not see it in time. That's not the buggy's fault, that's our fault. I ask everybody here to think with their brains and start going after the people who need to be corrected. Thank you very much, and please vote no.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michelle Ostrowski from Rudolph, Wisconsin. So I would just like to reiterate, I was here like a month ago, that it sounds to me like we have an alcohol and drug issue in this county. And the accidents, I believe they were impaired drivers, so I would ask that you consider worrying about that versus horse and buggy. I live out on County O, and I don't have any issues except when I got a kid driving a tractor. That's about it. And then we also own a home over on 14th Street North, and there's no yield signs or stop signs, so it's really up to the driver whether or not they're going to yield. So those are some areas I think we could work on versus bringing this to the table. It seems almost like a waste of time. That's it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else? What? We're working your way up to that.
My
My name is Gus Mancuso, currently working for Encourage, also been a member of the community since 1979. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to make a few brief comments. First of all, we've been talking about the process up to this point. I'd like to make some comments about the process from here on out. I would hope that we could, as a board, model the speak your piece concepts of listening to each other, being respectful of each other here as we dialogue further. Whatever happens in this process, I hope that we can be good role models for others and understand the point of view that's been expressed today. I also hope that this is an issue, a discussion over issues rather than personalities about what's happening on the board and future. I hope it's about the issue and not a perspective that a person has on the Wood County Board. Also, we've been talking about participation. It seems like the Wood County Board has been participating in trying to make something happen that makes our roads safer. I would challenge everybody here on both sides of this argument to participate in whatever comes out of this. Those of you that have talked about the advocacy for helping the Amish also need to be at the table, and if there is an opportunity, we have to understand that the collective wisdom of everybody can help make the best decision. We're all connected to this place, regardless of our personal views, regardless of what we stand for. And it's my hope that we can come together and take advantage of some of the established relationships that we already have in this room. There's great relationships with the health department, working with the Amish. We need to tap them. We need to embrace them. We need to encourage them. Wood County Sheriff's Department have had relationships with these people. We need to bring them into the fold and ask them what is their solution. Because the collective wisdom of all of us is going to come up with the best solution. I have a great deal of hope for this today. I have a great deal of hope that the mudslinging and the negative talk can be put aside, and let's come up with a great solution that makes the Amish and all of us feel like we are connected to this place and that we love living in South Wood County and North Wood County. Thank you for the opportunity to express my point of view.
Thank you. Anybody else? I don't want to cut anybody off. Anybody else? I want to thank you. First of all, I will echo the sentiments of Mr. Mancuso to some extent here, and that is always appreciate the civil discourse. This is what government is about. This is why we are here today. I am going to pull this to the front of the packet without anybody out there on my board who would disagree with that move. Doesn't look like it. They're all shaking their head yes. The other thing that I want to say, and before we get this on the floor, is as it was today, this is a continuation of a discussion that has happened years ago. This started several years ago through our highway traffic safety commissions, through our sheriff's department, emergency management, and our health departments. And hopefully at the end of the day, we have something that's palatable for everyone. So, with that being said, I'm going to move to page 127 in your packet. 127 is the resolution that came out of the Public Safety, Judicial and Legislative, and Highway Infrastructure and Recreation Committees. And I'd ask the clerk to please read that resolution.
This will be ordinance number 17-12-1, establish regulations for the use of animal-drawn vehicles so as to protect public safety. Fiscal note, nothing direct. As with the establishment of any regulation, there are the costs of publication in creating the ordinance and potential nominal costs and revenues associated with its enforcement. But the true fiscal impact to the ordinance is a savings to the public by the enhancement to the safety of roads in our county by compliance with the provisions in the ordinance. As with other vehicular safety measures like airbags and seatbelts, the savings to individuals and to society are difficult to measure, but they certainly exist.
Okay, you've heard the reading of the resolution. Do I have a motion to approve? I have a motion by Supervisor Winch. Do I have a second to that motion? Do I have a second to that motion? I'll give you one more chance. Do I have a second to that motion? Okay, without a second to that motion, that resolution dies. As we get to the second accompanying resolution, I'll get to right away. I want to assure everybody, because I have heard some of the side conversation, I've had some conversations with some of the board members going forward. The goal in all this is to just, whether you agree with any part or very little of this, is to make it safe for all users of the highway. Both those in some of the Amish community, if we're going that direction, but those who use the highways on a regular basis also. And we'll continue that work to come up with something that enhances that, makes it better, and is workable for everybody. So thank you for your participation. Second resolution, Cindy.
This will be Resolution 17-12-2 to encourage the state legislature to enact comprehensive regulations within the Motor Vehicle Code pertaining to the use of animal-drawn vehicles on public roads within the state. Fiscal note, the proposed regulations are designed to protect people and property, but in doing so, there will be significant but unknown savings to individuals, businesses, and to the government.
Do you have a motion on that resolution? Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Supervisor Winch on this resolution. Do I have a second on this resolution? Do I have a second on this resolution? Again, with no second on this resolution fails. Supervisor Winch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I didn't mean to cause all this controversy. All I was looking to do is improve the safety of the public on our roads, and especially the Amish. I happen to represent District 9, which is the Vesper area where there's a number of Amish living there. And I'd like to make it perfectly clear that I do not dislike the Amish. That's not my point at all. This all started probably 4 or 5 years ago when we had some issues, and I constantly get calls from my constituents in the area about close calls when they almost hit somebody, and it's all that sort of stuff. So I took it to the safety committee, and what happened is that the sheriff department got involved, along with the health department, along with emergency management, and they put together what they call a quick reference guide for buggy operators and motorists. And then when another issue came up here recently, roughly a month ago, had another close call, and I had, well, here's an example. Now, I had 2 calls this morning from a dump truck driver and also from a logging driver, concerned that they almost hit the Amish. I'm trying to save their lives, if at all possible, by making things safer. These ideas that came into our resolutions came from, for example, the seatbelt thing came from our health department. The point I'm trying to make here is these ideas are not mine personally. There's another issue here with Farm Bureau. They're asking to require a moving vehicle sign requiring all horses to wear rubber shoes. They're asking for a license on the vehicle to help support the road. There's another brochure here they call this Horse and Buggy Driver's Manual, which came from Bill Glendemian from, what, 3 counties, Bill?
Yes.
So it's something that is of a concern, and the concern is that we're trying to make everything safer and save people's lives. That's the crux of the whole thing. And how this got blown out of proportion is totally beyond me. And I'm being chastised for supposedly disliking the Amish. That's not the case at all. I just wanted to make that point. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Well, Rosa, then Fire, then Kramer. We'll go right down the row.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wasn't going to say anything, but Mr. Winch started it, and so I'm going to stand up. More years ago than I would like to tell you, I was born in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. My father left the church at the age of 17, but there must be enough Anabaptist blood flowing through my body because it was boiling by the time I got to the end of reading that resolution last week. I would like to suggest, and I appreciate our health department director coming up with these documents, but the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation has a horse and buggy driver's manual that is very applicable to Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. And I hope that we look at something like this as a very reasonable kind of educational tool for both the people that drive the horses and the buggies and the people that pass them in motor vehicles on the road. I appreciate so much all the involvement of the people that came today. I know it was very difficult. I told somebody when I came that I felt like I was at a family reunion with all the Amish that were here and back in Lancaster County. And so I appreciate their presence. I appreciate the people that came to speak. I appreciate all the calls that we got because I like to hear what our residents have to say. We have few issues that motivate people this much to come and talk to us about their feelings and the way they want us to vote. And so I just would like to express that. I hope that the Public Safety Committee, which if this was all about safety, that's where it needs to be talked about, is in the Public Safety Committee. And I just ask you to look at this document from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. And when you look through the acknowledgments of people that participated in this, the County of Lancaster, Lancaster County Amish Safety Committee, Lancaster County Planning Commission, Lancaster Highway Safety Council, Pennsylvania State Police, they all participated in this wonderful educational document that I'm sure that they would not mind at all that we kind of looked at as a mirror thing to do in our state. Thank you very much, and thank you again, everybody, for coming this evening.
Mr. Chairman, I have a point of order. Well, why are we discussing this? If people wanted to discuss these two resolutions, why didn't they second the motion for discussion? I think this issue is over with. It can be talked about in other committees, but I think this is out of order.
I'm not going to rule this out of order because I think it's important that we have this much public here. You know, the one thing I appreciate greatly is the fact that you took the time to be here.
Yes.
I heard from people that this could be a waste of time. Well, I can tell you this from my perspective. As a government official, I would hate to think that every minute I spend in this courthouse is a waste of time. It's so we can get through these issues, so we can hear your concerns, and I'm going to allow this to continue so we can hear so you can hear some of that discussion and see where maybe this goes going forward. So Supervisor Fire.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, have to excuse me, I've got a severe cold, so it's not going to come across very well.
Supervisor Clendenin, but I'd rather have this discussion while I have everybody in this room than later under the Public Safety, Judicial and Legislative, or other committees that have approved this resolution, or would also be approved.
As chairman of the Public Safety Committee, I'd like to have this issue brought up at the beginning of the first of the year, someplace along the line. And I think if we're going to do this, we should do a special meeting and inform everybody that we're going to do this. Just because we didn't get a second on this issue, it doesn't mean it's gone away. It hasn't gone away. It's still out there. And I think that if we all sit down with level heads and discuss this, we can come up with the public safety part of this whole project. I did make a comment when it came through our committee. I said that a lot of this is going to be hard to swallow and it's going to be hard to push through. But I thought it had to come here and it had to be in this venue. And as you look around the room, we got somebody's attention and we got our attention. And I think that's what we wanted. And I hate to say that we maybe have wasted somebody's day and their time, but I think everybody that spoke here had a good reason why we shouldn't do this. Now we take it back and let's fix it. And I think that can be done. All we have to, but I want a special meeting, not something that goes along with a public safety meeting. Just this issue would be on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Kramer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to publicly thank Bill Lynch. He was asked to do a task by the county board to do the light and buggies, and I do think that in his heart, his intent all along has been to keep people safe. So I think we need to clear up some of those misnomers that there's any kind of personal thing. So thank you, Bill. Thank you, Mr. Clendenin, Albrecht, and Mike for bringing it to their committees and getting it here. It's true that it went through committee, but I believe that they wanted to get it at the board so to have the discussion that we had today. Many of you know that I had an amendment to this. It's circulating out. I think a lot of you have the paperwork. And I'll just touch on what my vision and my goal was as to what I wanted to see happen for the best of all of our citizens of Wood County. And I say all because I live next to Amish and their friends. One of them's here today. And I have some personal stories that this hits home to me. I lost my brother and my best friend in 1999 to a car accident. It affected our family. It affected the person that was involved in that accident. He has to live with that that is why we're here today, is for public safety. I went to that wake that night, and I seen the anguish on their family's face. And it took me back to 1999 and the anguish on my family's face. And if we can do one thing here, let's get some lights on the buggies. That's what this is all about, guys. It's lights on buggies. My amendment was to strike all the regulation. Let's get lights on the buggies. I think it's spelled out quite well in the original amendment, or the original resolution as to the lights. I think we have, as Supervisor Rozar has pointed out, Pennsylvania has some things. We have a county in Wisconsin that has, Dodge County, and it's sitting on all your supervisors' desks, has a buggy manual. And I advise, and I would encourage that this body, when we meet, to incorporate that as an educational component. I don't think we should mandate it. I think people in the Amish community is very strong with their family. They raise their own. I think they would accept this as a template to include in their educational process, and that was part of my amendment. I think all the other stuff, the seat belts and basically that whole back page can go away. I think lights on the buggies and some education component is something I think we can all agree. And I think the last thing anybody wants to do is to go to any funeral, whether it be Amish or English. I think that really needs to be the focus, and I hope that calmer heads can prevail in the future. And we do need policy. Part of going where we need to be is where we've been. I actually did call our sheriff a couple days back and asked him, I said, well, what's really going on? What has been? And much to the chairman's comments, yeah, this has been a 2 to 3, maybe 4-year process where we've had emergency government, sheriff department, county board of supervisors, health department. We've had a lot of communication with our Amish. And like any culture, in any race, in any religion, there's always those that resist change and do not want to adapt to any kind of rules. My understanding is that a vast part of the Amish already have lights on buggies. They self-insure, they're self-funded, they're part of a national group that when something happens, they take care of their financial responsibilities per state statute. So a lot of these things are already being done by the Amish, and I think we can foster those relationships and get good buggy lighting resolution. That is what it's really about. So thank every one of you for being here. This is the fullest I've seen the courtroom since I've been on county board, and I wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Kreeger. Supervisor Fisher, did you want to add anything? Supervisor Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to comment on your expansion of the point of order. I think that's exactly what this board should be doing more of, not less. I realize we're probably in a non-technical point asking for that point of order, but I think we're getting valuable information from this discussion. One other point, I'd like the chair to recognize the health department director if she has any comments about how this was built. She doesn't have to if she doesn't want to, but
I know that she's worked closely with specifically, and like I said, although this was read that way, what we're doing wasn't necessarily targeted at just the Amish community, or what this, I shouldn't say what we were doing, but what was in this resolution. But I know we have fostered some close relationships through some of the departments, and that will continue to happen. If you want to add something to that, so I don't know, probably you grab that microphone. Maybe you can't.
Jeez, I need to work out one. The only thing I would add that maybe hasn't been said is that I think when we develop policy like this, it's important to work with the populations that are being affected and do things with people and not to them. So hopefully we can do that in the future.
Thank you. Supervisor LaFontaine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that I'm hopeful that, as Mr. Fire had mentioned, if this goes to public safety, we have a dialogue with the Amish community, that they have some representatives that would participate in this. I had an incident that happened last winter coming down here to a county board meeting in which that makes this an issue of safety to me. I was driving south of Auburndale on County Trunk Highway K, and I could see as I came down a hill, I could come through the valley, I could see some black object in front of me. So I slowed down. And as I came up the hill, the next hill, I had slowed down to maybe 20, 25 miles an hour. I found, as I came up the hill, I found 3 women hanging on the back of an Amish buggy. And if it would have been a car that would have been coming at me with headlights, I would have never seen that buggy. There was no identification, no slow-moving sign, no lights. If one of those women would have fallen off that buggy that were hanging on the back, I would have ran over them and killed them. Now that still bothers me today. To the Amish, that might be God's will, but it still bothers me that I could have killed somebody. So I'm hopeful that the Amish community will participate in making this a safer travel for all of us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We will continue this discussion. This is one of those things where any ordinance like this that is proposed is for the safety of everybody. I couldn't have said it in a more articulate way than Supervisor Kramer did. But at the end of the day, whether somebody perishes, whether somebody causes that accident, and it's not their fault, their lives are affected forever too. And we feel for all of those. So we'll continue this discussion. Again, appreciate your attendance. I think what I'm going to do at this point is have a short 5-minute recess to allow this room to reconfigure. Those of you are welcome to stay for the whole meeting. The rest of it won't be this exciting. But again, thank you for your participation. To rescind the amendment to the budget. That is a proper motion. It requires a majority vote, and it is debatable. So at this point, it's theirs. This is not in the form of a resolution. This is a motion to rescind. Again, it's a proper motion. It requires a simple majority vote. It is debatable. So I will ask again. You want the motion to rescind going forward?
Yes, sir, I do.
And Supervisor Zerflu, you seconded that motion to rescind? Yes, sir. Okay, I'll give the floor to Supervisor Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the first time I've tried to stand up at this podium. It's a little bit difficult to do. First of all, I really want to apologize to the board. This is not a motion I would generally bring. This is not something I would generally even condone doing. It is parliamentary, in a parliamentary sense and procedural sense, correct. But it was the only way I could bring this issue back. And time is of the essence because the action that was taken by the acceptance of Mr. Mahan's amendment to the budget basically transferred the money for the recruiter's position in HR from the HR budget to the contingency budget. There is no money in the HR budget to keep that recruiter's position open. It's gone. It's done. After the meeting, I had some supervisors tell me that they believed that, oh, this just meant the recruiter was going to be transferred to another position. It is not. That recruiter will be gone if this motion to rescind fails. And it may well do that. It may well do that. The reason I'm asking you to rescind it, and the reason that I'm asking for this to be done this way is, as Mr. Laughlin name knows, on city council in Marshfield, we've had this happen a couple of times. We've had positions eliminated as part of the budget process without any forewarning, or without going through the oversight committee to ask for it to be done, or to have it brought before the board and be referred to a committee. And it's basically, I think it's a matter of due process. I really do. The recruiter did not have an opportunity to defend her position. The HR director did not have an opportunity to defend the position. And they had gone through, and they are going through, a reorganization now that will transfer the payroll function eventually over to the finance department. The problem is that's not going to actually happen until April of next year. The process of transferring over requires a tremendous amount of work and background to do, and that is not going to happen until April. In the meantime, the payroll person in HR is undergoing medical treatment and is on limited duty. So basically what's happening is HR is being short-staffed, and short-staffed on one end, and well, on two ends actually, and then keeping the same amount of work that they're required to do. We asked the HR director to tell the department heads what would happen, what would they would have to pick up, and there's been a lot of anger about what his email said, or what his letter to the department head said. Basically, what happened is during the former HR administrator's position, they had transferred a lot of the things that the department heads did into that HR administrator's position. And basically, what they were saying is, oh, we're going to go back to what it was before the HR administrator took over. Now, I don't believe that that's practical. I think there are other things that can happen there. I think that if this is done, the load can be split, but it's still going to require some work on the department heads. And in some departments, like where there's only one administrator in the department, like in dispatch, this is going to be an increased burden on the administrator themselves. So this is part of the problem. I think what I want to do, if this is rescinded, here's what I would instruct the HR director, who is under my oversight as chairman of the executive committee. What I would instruct him to do is to conduct at least a 6-month time study to find out how much time is actually spent on the recruiting function itself. I would also ask him at the same time to take a look at that list that he had handed out to the department heads and to change some of the things and see what HR could in fact absorb with 2.5 people. If this were done, what they could do with 2.5 people left in the department to do that work. And then the other thing I would like him to come back to this board, not the committee, this board, on the July meeting of the board with the report, and you can make a decision then with real data and real metrics as to whether or not this can be done, or whether or not this should be done. I said at the time that Mr. Mahan made his motion that I felt his metrics were wrong. And some of the numbers that came up, I think it was saying that he was promised there would be $400,000 saved. That's not the impression I got from the tape of the meeting. I know that the former HR director, which our current HR director is now being held responsible for, said that there would be cost savings, and that if there weren't cost savings, she would recommend the loss of the position. I got some numbers from finance, or actually HR got them, the HR administrator I think got these from them. In the they gave me budgets numbers from 2010 to 2017. That's 8 years of budget numbers. In 5 of those 8 years, overtime went down. Overtime was less than budgeted. The amount of actual expenditures in 2010 was $692,000. In 2017, it's $617,000. There are savings there. Were they all completely responsible for, or is the recruiter completely responsible for this? Maybe not, because you know what else is in here? Snow plowing. So any of you want to control snow plowing? You want to hold the recruiter responsible for snow plowing too? I don't. Let me tell you the other thing. We've talked about the labor shortage, and we've talked about how hard it is to hire people. And we've also talked about wanting to make Wood County a destination for employees, the place where they want to come and work. The kind of job that the recruiter has done, recently there have been 2 stellar examples of the ability to recruit quality individuals. One at Edgewater Haven, and another one that for their own department, with the HR and the new HR administrator, who has a tremendous amount of experience, a tremendous amount of ability, and has already started to make some even more improvements in the recruiting process. We've done that. We're trying to make our place a premier employment area. I've made the motion to rescind it. I know that this is an unusual request. And again, I would not put you on this spot if I did not think that this was an absolutely crucial position for us to have, and I want you to give them the 6 months to prove it. 6 months to come back with numbers to prove it. And that's all I'm asking. Mr. Zerflu asked to be a co-sponsor of this motion, and I'd yield the floor to him for being all right with the board. Mr. Zerflu, did you?
Mr. Chairman, I have a point of order. Since this, and I know you're waving your hand, but since this is so crucial and we're having it, and this is a motion to rescind the previous action, both of you voted differently on the motion. So because he voted no, and you voted yes on the motion, and now you want to rescind it, I think you both have had to been on the prevailing side.
It's irrelevant. It's in a motion to reconsider.
I know it's irrelevant, Mr. Chairman, I know it's irrelevant, but the fact is, when you rescind the motion, you can't be on the losing side, and the second was on the losing side.
I think if this were a motion to reconsider, Mr. Clendenny, you would be absolutely correct. It is not. It's a motion to rescind, which does not have that stigma attached to it. Thank you very much for your comment, though.
In this case, Mr. Wagner, I'm going to allow a lot of latitude in discussion on this, as long as that discussion remains civil. We did a lot of research on the Robert's Rules of Order on this one, because I had not seen it. I had contact with the registered parliamentarians at the WCA. Motion to rescind is not required to be on a prevailing side. It can come from anybody. It can come off the floor. And it can deal with any issue where, for instance, a contract has not already been signed and there is something that actually could be rescinded. So Supervisor Zerflu, and I'll allow a latitude of discussion here as long as we keep this civil.
Well, first of all, I don't know what page this is on, and I might lose it. Page 3, if I'm reading this right, the minutes of the resolution that was to eliminate the recruiter position, the amendment that Supervisor Mahan brought up. We voted the same. Supervisor Clendenny voting no were Lon Fontaine, Rosar, Fire, Wagner, Fry, Henkel, Plimo, and Zerflu. So that argument's out the window. It's kind of hard to follow a Daniel Webster of the modern era, but the only thing, I had talked to the vice chair about a week after the vote, and we just were talking about a few things, and it's common knowledge I had great displeasure with eliminating a position that took an 11.5-week waiting period to fill a position down to 3.5 weeks. I wish we'd have had this study, we could prove that. But I think a well-intentioned amendment on the part of Supervisor Mahan was a solution looking for a problem that did not exist. And since then, I've had talks with unsolicited talks with department heads that are saying that, now we have to do more than we had to even do in the past. And I said, well, you can't expect HR to continue doing that
that stuff because they now have one less employee. So again, that's about all I have to say, and I was very honored to co-sponsor this rescission, if that's a word. Thank you.
Discussions. Supervisor Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the comments made by both Supervisor Wagner and Supervisor Zerflu. I will say, though I empathize with the feelings that people have on this issue and the fact that I know this was a very controversial issue last month. And I empathize. There are many decisions made on the floor of this county board that I do not agree with, but I will be voting no against this, and I'm going to tell you why. It is not about the recruiter position today. It is about, I do not feel that it is appropriate to rescind an amendment to the budget. The decision has been made by the majority of the county board. Whether we agree or disagree, I believe that we need to show the people of Wood County and the people of Wisconsin we are united. I would ask us to consider what could happen. By doing this, we could be opening Pandora's box. We could be allowing any two supervisors to make a motion to rescind the budget at any time. I am concerned that when the budget stands, that in March, July, any two supervisors could make their intention known in the packet to rescind and try to reverse the budget. I am concerned about that. I've shared my concerns with Corporation Counsel to get his guidance, and I'm standing here today at this point saying I'm going to have to vote no because of the procedure. Thank you.
Further discussion? I'll get you at a second round. Supervisor Fire.
Is it not correct, Mr. Chairman, that that we didn't change the budget, we just moved this money to contingency, so it's still in the budget? The budget's exactly what it was. It's just that it's not there and it's moved to contingency, so the money is still in the budget.
That is correct. The money was transferred to a different area. The budget was not reduced. The tax levy and that's the true statement. Supervisor Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to talk specifically about the motion that's on the floor. I guess I'm going to talk, and I respectfully say this to Supervisor Wagner, but he brought up something that I was interested in before and I am now. Now he's proposing that we rescind the motion that we made last month on the budget and do this for 6 months and look at what the HR department is doing. I made this statement at the seed committee. I question what they're doing at all. Nobody knows. Why wouldn't we right now before we put this position back in? Because by his own statement, we're going to do a study to see after the payroll is moved and everything else that HR might not need another person. Why not do that first before we add another person? I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, we're talking about 6 months. I don't know how long it's going to take to do this, but it's obvious to me that there has been changes in HR and there's going to be changes in the future. Why would we add another person? Not add, that's the wrong term. Put a person back in there that I questioned in the first place. 3 years ago, we didn't have a recruiter. We seem to operate, maybe not as efficiently as some people think, but we did operate. So I'm opposed to it, to bringing this up again.
Further discussion? Supervisor Henkel?
I can never find the button on here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Over the years that I've been on county board, since 2000, I've seen a lot of changes in the way that we recruit people and then the amount of time it takes to fill positions. That situation has gotten worse with the aforementioned lack of workforce. I mean, we have low unemployment. We have trouble filling these positions. I've seen what has happened as the oversight committee that I have chaired most recently has smaller departments. When there is a vacancy, when the burden falls on the person to do, the head of the department to do the recruiting and fill the position in his spare or her spare time, there's an enormous burden on the department heads. And I'm sure that that works for all of the rest of the departments. I really felt that the change when we had a recruiter really improved the process, really helped our departments to function better, and relieved a very significant burden on the guys that are supposed to be doing a different job running their departments. I support this rescission.
Supervisor Rosar, then I'll go to Supervisor Condon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Mr. Zerflu read in the minutes of the last meeting, I did vote against the motion to eliminate that position. I'd like to just make a couple of comments. You know, 2 supervisors can do anything that has passed forward. I mean, you know, to say that, you know, I kind of appreciate when things like this are brought before the county board, because we have a lot of county board supervisors who believe we need to be more involved in discussions and decisions that are being made and not have them made so much at the committee level. So whether 2 supervisors want to bring anything before the board, it doesn't have to pass. And so I guess I don't object to that. I did object to the process of eliminating this position, and that's why I voted no to the motion that was made by Mr. Mahan last month, because I saw the city go through this where positions were eliminated, and it was problematic and devastating. And I believe, if I recall correctly, that I stood and said, I don't know whether this is a beneficial. You know, we need more study. We just don't eliminate positions off the cuff. There's got to be due process. There's got to be discussion. Maybe the position needs to be reorganized. But I voted no to Supervisor Mahan's motion because I thought it wasn't the right way to do it. And so I will be supporting this motion and appreciate it being brought back again, because I don't know whether you guys know or not, but the city of Marshfield actually passed a rule that no longer could you eliminate positions during the budget. Mr. LaFontaine, did you make that motion? Well, you're a good man. I'm just saying that there's a process to doing something, and I believed that it was, I wasn't opposed to eliminating the position. If it was found that we didn't need the position, I am all in favor of getting rid of FTEs. But it was the process that I objected to in eliminating the position during the budget discussion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Condon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This time I'm going to try to win on this. One of the things is that I am voting no on this. And the claims that this was brought on all of a sudden, ever since Act 10, I have said, what the heck are they doing in HR? You know, they don't have all these grievances to do. They don't have to go into negotiations, maybe with the sheriff's department. There's no unions around. I even said it at a meeting that I opposed to the budget because of the HR when Brandon Verwink, the year before, had really taken one for the team and cut FTEs, and I think that HR should do the same thing. And yesterday I was listening to a webinar from the Counties Association, I believe it was, and there was 3 of us from Wood County here listening to it. And I heard very little about recruitment and this. These problems are all over because people used to think working for the county and government, county government was a good place to be because of all the benefits. And that's throughout the whole state of Wisconsin. Counties are in real competition with the private sector now. It's not a good place to be, so I voted no against this. Thank you.
Supervisor Kreeger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I first heard about this and read it, I was offended. I thought it was not the way the process of government should work. The county board had spoken, but hearing Supervisor Wagner's comments here today and all these other comments, it strikes up a really good conversation. So I'm taking this opportunity as education, and I do not take it as offense. I guess respectfully, I have some questions that maybe this body could help answer as a newer board member. I agree to Supervisor Curry's proposal of with payroll being transferred to finance, the position that is in HR now. What is the determination of that, and how does that move forward? And is there a specific person required? One of the questions I have is, I believe the recruiter position was eliminated, not the individual. I have some questions on that. She could still move within the county system and still have a job, is my understanding. If I'm wrong, please correct me. On another note, so we don't have this conversation in the future, is I'd like to understand, let me say how I understood this process happened, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. Supervisor Mahan stated, and Supervisor Wagner also reiterated at the last county board, that Supervisor Mahan went to Supervisor Wagner and asked for him to look at this in committee. I believe Supervisor Wagner referred to that he did do that. My understanding is it was not talked about in that committee. So what recourse does Supervisor Mahan have other than to bring it up at the budget time to have that discussion? Is there a proper protocol and procedure that should have been followed? I don't know the answer. I'd sure like to know the answer to that, because we may have this happen again. So was that out of line, or was that certainly within his reason that he went to the department head, asked to have it looked at? For whatever reason, it was not looked at. I don't mean no disrespect, Mr. Wagner. I'm sure that you have more on your plate than you can handle. I say that very respectively. But all I could do is look at our oversight committee on this very sensitive issue. So I went to Brandon and Sue, who we oversee, and I asked them point blank. I said, how is this recruiter position going to affect you? And we have to realize that there's 650-ish employees in the county. And between Brandon and Sue, they have over half of them. They have like 340 of them, somewhere in there. Just approximations. And it told me how strong our staff was in the Health and Human Services Department. Their response to me was, Supervisor Kramer, the county board has spoken, we will manage it, and we will overcome it. That's pretty strong language when two of the department heads that tell me they can adapt and manage. They didn't say they liked it, they didn't say they didn't, they just said the county board has spoken, we respect that language. So I hope that maybe some of these answers can get questioned, or my questions can get answers to them as far as the process. And again, I want to be respectful, because this is a very closely and heavily debated issue. So thank you for bringing it up.
Supervisor Zerfel, you haven't been up yet, have you?
I was number 2.
Okay, then we'll go. Anybody else first time around? Anybody else first time around? All right, then I'll go to Supervisor Wagner, then to Zerfel.
Thank you. I'll try and answer some of the questions. First of all, I'll start with Mr. Fisher, Supervisor Fisher. He's afraid to open the Pandora's box. This motion to rescind exists in Robert's rules. It's always there. It can be used anytime, any place. Whether you pass it here today or don't pass it here today does not open any Pandora's box. It's always there. It is a tool to be used. It is a tool to be used under certain circumstances. And that's exactly what it is. So could that happen at any time? Yes, it could. But it's not going to happen. But this vote and this position is not dependent upon that, the Pandora's box situation is not at all dependent upon whether you vote yes or no on this today. Mr. Clendenny says he doesn't know what HR does. I'll be happy to give him these 5 or 6 pages of the recruitment list that they've been doing. And that's part of what they do. They also do background checks. There's a whole litany of things they do. There's a checklist of things they do when a new employee is hired, when there are interviews to be taken. They also have to keep track of the applications that come in, whether or not county doesn't get nailed with a discrimination suit. There's a great deal that's done down there. And the fact that he doesn't know that is not a mark on him. It's just a matter of the fact that we've got a department that's functioning well and doesn't bring its problems to the county board very often. As far as Mr. Kramer asked a number of questions. Number one, let's deal with one. Yes, Mr. Mahan came to me, I think 6-7 months prior to this, and told me that he told me flat out he wanted the position removed. That's what he said, flat up front. I told him I would look at it. I did. I went and I talked to the HR department. I looked in there, and I said, I don't think I have anything to bring up here. So I didn't bring it to the committee. He never asked me, not once did he say, I want this on the committee agenda. If he had done, I would have honored his wishes and brought it on the committee agenda and let him make his case. He did not do that. He did not bring it up to the Legislative Judiciary Committee, he didn't bring it up to anybody else. That's it. I would have done it. There's no question about that. I think I've proven in my past history that when anybody wants something on the agenda, I've never turned them down. I never have. This system and not the system, about how the system works, when you eliminate somebody's salary, you eliminate the position. They're gone. That's it, period. I don't know where this comes from that, if we just eliminate your position, we're going to still pay you. No, not even close. It's not going to happen. The other thing is, this business I'm all about eliminating FTEs and saving the taxpayers money and doing all this. Number one, you didn't cut anything out of the budget. You just moved it from one pocket to the other and moved it out of a pocket that would pay this person for the position. That's it. That's number one. Number two, you voted unanimously and without question to replace the payroll position that is leaving HR, which is at best I think a little over a 1/3 position. Basically, it does other things. It does the payroll position also does benefit administration, keeps track of everybody's benefits for them. And the rest of the time is payroll. But instead of giving finance a 1/3 position in payroll, you gave them 100% without question. 100% position. Without question. And now you're questioning the payroll, or you're questioning what's going on in HR. Ladies and gentlemen, there's this thing about decency and due process that I brought up. I can't tell you how strongly I feel about that. And, vote as you will. Vote your principles, vote your conscience, whatever. But I think the fairness of the issue is that we give this position a second look and give it the time it deserves to determine whether or not it's still needed. Thank you.
Supervisor Zerflu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not to chastise the chair, but you said that Supervisor Clendenny would have his turn when we started the second round, so he's technically ahead of me, sir, if that's okay.
I don't think that's what I meant, but maybe that's what I said, because sometimes it happens.
It's been a long day, sir.
I have nothing right now.
I think you were the next one with the hand up, and then Donna, and then we'll see if anybody wants to go around the second time. So you have the floor, Supervisor.
I take back the chastisement, Mr. Chairman. Supervisor Rosa, go right ahead.
Did Mr. Zerflu have something to say other than that?
I don't know. It's still coming back to him. We won't count.
I'm still confused.
I think if I stand up one more time, the chair will tell me to sit down.
Well, I think after all the sitting, we probably need the exercise of standing up and moving. You said you were going to give a lot of latitude to this discussion, and I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make a statement about what I am perceiving as the negative comments about our HR department, which I find a little offensive. Every organization I've ever worked for had an HR department. I think that the city of Wisconsin-Rapids has an HR department. The city of Marshfield has an HR department. There are critical functions functions that need to be done by HR departments. If something's wrong with my badge at the hospital as a registered nurse, guess where I go to get them to fix my badge? I go to the HR department. If I have a question about, any human resources issue, now I have to call an 800 number because we're part of a bigger organization. But it used to be I could just walk downstairs and talk to them. There are, as Mr. Wagner pointed out, critical functions when you are an employee of human beings. And so I don't want us to in any way belittle those critical functions that occur in a department such as human resources. And I find it concerning, at the least, that we're standing up criticizing a whole department, and I know that if somebody stood up and criticized our health department or our human services department or what Jordan or Cindy do at Edgewater, Haven, or Norwood, I would take it a little personally, and I would stand up and defend their functions, and I guess in some way I'm doing that with the human resources department. And just because you don't see how people are functioning doesn't mean that they're not providing critical functions as we deal with people in Wood County. Thank you.
Supervisor Clendenin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The remark of what happened when Airport Avenue, the CBRF left Airport Avenue, 3 employees. I think they're still working for the county, although those 3 positions were eliminated. I think those people are in the county someplace. Maybe there's 2 of them. I'm not going to argue with them. I worked with HR people all my life in the private sector as a union president. And sometimes I worked more with HR than I did, and I respect it. But I still say, with the lack of the unions, this HR has a lot less to do. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Supervisor Ashbeck.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I understand this money is going to come contingency. Is that right?
Correct.
Have we got that much on hand with the winter coming up with the snow and everything, or to carry it through winter with the rest of the departments? Or are we going to have to go back to the bank? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I don't know if I can answer that, but I guess when I was told was, we didn't change tax rates, we didn't change tax levy. We allocated the dollars to a different account rather than where they were previously, so didn't change any dollar amounts. Any further discussion? I'll let you go again, Bill.
To answer this question, if we took it out of contingency to do something, it'd take a 2/3 vote, correct? To take money out of the contingency.
Yes.
I'm right on something? Wow.
A rescission motion only requires a majority.
Are you talking another issue?
He said, what are we going to do if we need this money? Have we got enough money in the contingency? And I said, if you're going to take it out of contingency, that would be a 2/3 vote. I think he's got a very good point.
Previous motion to consider that, but your point on typically on a contingency issue would take that. All right, do we have any further discussion? Do we have any further discussion? All right.
Now clarify what we're voting on.
Clarify, yes and no.
Yeah, a yes vote rescinds the amendment to that budget, would return that position for a period, I believe Mr. Wagner was looking at 6 months. So a yes vote rescinds the action taken in the budget and allows continuing support of that recruiter position for a period of about 6 months. Supervisor Kramer.
So I'm still confused, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for letting me speak again. If I could address Vice Chair Wagner, I'm still confused as to the county board and the recruiter position was eliminated. The individual, who I'm not even sure I know her name, Angel? Okay. She was not fired by the county board.
Yeah, she was.
Her position was eliminated. I would like some clarification on this, because I think a lot of the county board are still confused on this, including me. She cannot navigate through the county system and be hired? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah.
position that she qualifies for, there's no job.
I understand that, but I guess maybe I'm just the only one thinking this way. The county board ruled to eliminate a position. It would be HR director's position to fire that person, in my opinion. And maybe I'm wrong. I hear a lot of people shaking their heads, but we did not fire Angel. We eliminated an FTE, right? Is that the same thing? I'm asking that question. Is it the same thing?
I think it's a difference without a distinction.
It has the same result. However you interpret it.
I just wanted to be clear.
Okay, any further questions? Any further questions? Okay, please vote. And that motion to rescind failed 11 to 8. 11 to 8. Thank you for your consideration. That gets us into the packet. Page 5, referrals. We had none, so page 5 will go quick. All right, pages 6 through 9. The executive committee meeting of Tuesday, November 7th. Pages 6 through 9. Any questions there? The public hearing for the budget on page 10, held prior to the board meeting. The executive committee meeting minutes of Monday, November 20th on page 11. The executive committee meeting minutes of Tuesday, December 5th on 12 through 15. 12 through 15. The executive committee meeting minutes of December 13th on 16. Page 17, Supervisor Kastenholt's summary of the CBRF offer to purchase. The ad hoc property committee minutes of Tuesday, November 14th on 18 and 19. Comments from the county clerk for December on page 20. The reports from maintenance on 21. Reports from safety and risk management on 22. Information technology from November, their update beginning on page 23. Runs all the way through page 29. Page 23 through 29, their monthly letter of comments and an update on IT security. The treasurer's report on page 30. The report from the Human Resources Department on page 31 through 35. Any questions there? All right, and that brings me to page 36 in your packet. Page 36 is the start of 10 resolutions that are all budget amendments. I guess to summarize, that's basically moving money from one account to another account. Does anybody, in fact, we can hear the reading of these first, but does anybody object to me taking these all in one particular motion? Okay, Cindy? Cindy objects.
So this is item 1-1, which will be numbered 17-12-3, to amend the 2017 budget for county aid to libraries for the purpose of funding higher than anticipated expenditures. Fiscal note to transfer $2,565 from available balance in contingency to the county aid to libraries. At the time of this request, the funds available in contingency are $367,782. The adjustment to the budget totals $2,565. Item 1-2 will be numbered Resolution 17-12-4 to amend the 2017 budget for the expenditures occurred in 2017 related to the 2017 aid general obligation debt issues costs for the 2018 capital projects. Fiscal note, no additional cost to Wood County. The source of the funding is the portion of the $5.415 million debt proceeds that expended in 2017 for the debt issuance costs. Adjustment totals $50,000. Next resolution will be 17-12-5 to amend the 2017 budget for finance for the purpose of funding higher than anticipated expenditures. Fiscal note to transfer $50,000 from available balance in contingency to finance. At the time of this request, the funds available in contingency are $367,782. The adjustment to the budget totals $50,000. The next resolution, which is item 1-4, will be numbered 17-12-6 to amend the 2017 Healthy Smiles grant budget for additional revenue and expenditures unanticipated during the original budget process. Fiscal note, no cost to Wood County. The adjustment to the budget totals $13,568. The next resolution will be 17-12-7 to amend the 2017 WIC grant budget for additional revenue and expenditures unanticipated during the original budget process. Fiscal note, no cost to Wood County. The adjustment to the budget totals $19,684. The next resolution will be numbered 17-12-8 to amend the 2017 budget for information technology PC replacement for expenditures that were not anticipated during the original budget process. Fiscal note, no additional cost to Wood County. The source of the funding is the non-lapsing PC replacement designated fund balance. The adjustment to the budget totals $59,000. Next resolution, which is item 1-7, will be numbered 17-12-9 to amend the 2017 budget for the Humane Officer for the purpose of funding higher than anticipated costs. Fiscal note, to transfer $4,000 from available balance in contingency to the Humane Officer. At the time of this request, the funds available in contingency are $367,782. The adjustment to the budget totals $4,000. Next resolution will be 17-12-10 to seek County Board approval to amend the 2017 budget of building numbering identification for additional expenditures that were not anticipated during the original budget process. Fiscal note, no additional cost to Wood County. The source of the funding is unanticipated revenues from projects for Wood County townships. The adjustment to the budget totals $1,500. The next resolution will be 17-12-11 to amend the 2017 budget for the emergency management admin function for additional expenditures that were not anticipated during the original budget process. Fiscal note, no additional cost to Wood County. The source of the funding is unanticipated revenues from state aid. The adjustment to the budget totals $21,800. Item 1-10 will be numbered 17-12-12 to amend the 2007 budget of various highway functions listed below for additional expenditures of $571,790 not anticipated during the original budget process. Fiscal note, no additional cost to Wood County. Source of money is available appropriations in revenues in excess of budget of $148,788 and functions under budget of $423,002.
Okay, you've heard the reading of those resolutions. I have a motion to approve by Supervisor Zurfluh and a second by Supervisor Kramer. Is there any discussion on this? Any discussion? Okay, please vote. Resolution passed 19-0. Next in your packet, page 46, resolution coming forth from the Executive Committee. Once I get the clerk set, I'll have her read that resolution.
This will be Resolution 17-12-13 to show additional elements of committed and assigned governmental fund balance projected as of December 31st, 2017. Fiscal note, total committed and assigned governmental fund balance as of December 31st, 2017 is projected to be $7,113,382 as detailed within the resolution.
Motion by Fire and a second by Bride to approve this resolution. Is there any discussion? Supervisor Lightning, then I'll go to Supervisor Lynch.
Okay, a little confusion on my part here, which I'm sure you'll straighten out immediately. All of the last 10 that we've looked at have said to amend the 2017 budget. This one appears differently, and I think if you look at the end of the second page, I know you said moving money from one column to another, but there's $1.9 million there between projected and actual. I think I'd like some explanation before I vote on this.
Yeah, I'm going to get our finance director up there, or our deputy finance director. This is not a resolution to move money around. This is strictly a resolution that shows what we have. So if you'd like to go to the microphone. The other, we're all involved in moving dollars from one place to another. This is just an accounting.
Correct. This is just an accounting thing that GASB asks us to do every year, that everything that's in a non-lapsing and internal service fund, we just commit it at the highest level for our capital expenditure reporting. And that's all it's doing. So it had 2016's ending balance and projected for 2017.
So we weren't able to do that a month and a half ago, but now we can.
We usually do it in December, and then we might come back again in February if there's any other budget resolutions that change those amounts.
Yeah, it's basically just an account, a statement of accounts, so to speak.
If it's accounting, fine.
I have the book here that I can read you the paragraph.
But in this one, you're not moving any money anywhere, you're just
saying where it is.
What actually happened. Yeah, I think maybe I can explain it more from a layman's point of view, and that a few years ago, when GASB reform was done, that's the Government Accounting Standards Board, they said that if you carry money over from one year to the next in a fund, you have to show what is committed for that specific purpose as well as what is uncommitted. So this shows us what's committed in the non-lapsing funds of the various departments. Is that correct?
That is correct, and it just asks for a vote at the highest level.
Supervisor Kreeger?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess, again, I may be the only one that's thinking this, but what does a no vote mean? That we're not for non-lapsing funds, or we're not willing to put the funds into the budget? I don't know. What does this mean?
It really, I hate to say it, it really doesn't mean anything. This is basically just what it means is it's a confirmation of the funds that we have available. And all we're saying is that we don't disagree with the general accounting of the county that
The funds are there.
we've allocated funds, are going to have funds in the proper place.
Right.
You're basically approving an audit to some extent.
Right, and audited, well, it will be audited.
Right.
And the time to move that, not put those into non-lapsing, is when you work on the budget and say that's when you don't want that committed at that time. This is just a formality that GASB has asked us to do it beyond the budget.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't something that we were talking about these non-lapsing funds at this specific time. It's just an accounting measure. Correct. Thank you.
Supervisor Lynch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I'm viewing this right, these are amounts of money that are in a savings account over and above the current budget, correct?
They're in the budget. They're not really in a savings account, Marla.
No, it's a fund balance that the departments have asked to, for whatever reason. It could be grant money, it could be from fees that they have gotten over and above their expenses that they have asked to allocate to the next year to help fund things for the next year.
I guess the other question would be that could we reduce the budget if we use these amounts of money?
Yeah.
Then you wouldn't get the project. Then you wouldn't get the project.
You wouldn't be able to do the projects which you've already approved, but the money is allocated but not spent, I guess is the best way to put it.
Well, let's take an example here, the police radios. If we needed radios, we take this money?
Those are, we already purchased those. We just haven't signed off on them, so we haven't paid that money out yet. So we're just asking for it to be put into next year so we can pay out on it.
Okay.
Is that not correct?
Yeah, that's a general explanation. It's just committed versus uncommitted. It's projects and or equipment and or programs that you've already agreed to fund and in which column do we put the money in. Okay.
Counting.
Okay, any further discussion? Please vote. resolution?
Sure. This will be Resolution 17-12-14 to formally adopt the social media policy. No fiscal note.
Motion by Hamilton, second by, who's going to hand Panko? Discussion? Supervisor Clendenny.
Yeah, is this something that goes in the employee's handbook? This is a policy, like other things are policy. Does this go in the handbook?
Yes.
Okay.
And, people ask all the time, let me just clarify, so when we say it goes in the handbook, that doesn't mean that every time we adopt something, we reprint the entire handbook. It's an addendum that gets slid into the handbook or gets added to the handbook. Supervisor Mahan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question on the policy. Under the administrative structure, where it lists the different administrators and their titles, I would be interested in knowing how those positions are going to be selected.
What page is
Who wants to address that, Amy?
Sure, I can do that. As far as the social media coordinator and backup social media coordinator, those are assigned within the IT department. The departments that utilize social media will be choosing their assigned manager, backup manager, and approved content.
Is there a further follow-up to that, Doug, or that answer that?
So then I'm assuming that the social media coordinator and the backup social media coordinator will be IT employees?
Correct.
Okay.
Supervisor Zerfel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This doesn't have to be reviewed or anything by judicial and legislative. And if not, why not? Thank you.
Well, it wouldn't have to be. That's what he's saying. It was developed under Peter.
I was involved with an August group to put this together, so I'm familiar with it. I probably didn't report to my oversight committee in regards to it because I think, but I'm not sure, that IT might have been reporting to its oversight committee because I think they were leading the charge on this. Might have been HR also. I think it was IT.
Supervisor Zerfel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just think that should be corrected in the future for this type of stuff. I think J&L should have at least had a crack at it, so to speak, or review it. Thank you.
Okay, Supervisor Rosa.
I respectfully disagree with that. This is a human resources issue because it affects the employees. It's not a legislative issue that would require legislative action or a court, as just except for the courts have employees, and so, but this really is a human resources issue and has to do with what the policy of the people who work in our county have to comply to.
Supervisor Conrad.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is these additional employees or are these already existing employees?
You mean the administrator?
Yes.
Those would be assigned to existing employees. That's one question I can definitively answer. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Supervisor Conrad.
I would just like to thank the IT department for spearheading this. I think we needed this policy, we needed a presence in social media, especially the way things go. I think the last issue this morning with the Amish buggy blew up on Facebook. For those that are not on Facebook, there was over 300 comments in less than 2 hours. That's the power of social media, and I think this is well done.
Any further discussion? All right, please vote. That resolution passed 18-1. 18-1. Page 55 in your packet is a resolution dealing with the communications tower and the lease of the land under that, up at the UW Wood County Marshfield campus. The pages 56 through 57 are the language involved in that lease. So Some of that, is certainly all been reviewed by our corp counsel, but that is the language of the resolution, page 55. That's the clerk, please.
This will be Resolution 17-12-5, or 15, to join with the City of Marshfield in approving a contract authorizing the placement of a communications tower on the UW Marshfield Wood County campus by a private entity with the revenues generated going to the UW Marshfield Wood County Commission. Fiscal note, the City of Marshfield and Wood County jointly own the UW Marshfield Wood County campus in Marshfield and fund the maintenance of the property via a commission. The revenues generated through the communications tower would go to the commission and thereby reduce the dependency of the commission on funding by the county and city.
A motion by Zerflu and a second by Bry. Discussion on this? Any discussion? Supervisor Clendon.
It's on page 12, but you have to go back for that to executive board committee. I voted against this because here's going to be $5,000. And we just went through this with the park. This is going to be $5,000. $2,500 of this is going to supposedly Wood County, and the other half of that is going to Marshfield. And instead of that money going there to those places, I believe this resolution says, by golly, I think we're going to keep it right in the commission. And I'd like to know what the commission is going to do with this. Is this to have meetings, or why would it go? Why wouldn't this go to the city and the county and put in their contingency fund? Because we pay for the functions of the committee itself. Well, I'd like an explanation. Thank you.
Supervisor Roser.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you look at the fiscal note, as the resolution stands right now, it says the revenues generated through the communications tower would go to the commission and thereby reduce the dependency of the commission on funding by the county and the city. So currently what happens is the operational budget of the UW Marshfield Wood County campus is divided in two, and half of that operational budget is funded by the city and half of that budget is funded by the county. Now, it's up for discussion about whether those revenues come split between the city and the county and the commission. The discussion at the commission was to have those funds come to the commission, and then there would be less money requested by the city and the county for operational budget by the amount of revenue that comes to the commission. So, no, we're not going to order sub sandwiches for our meetings, and we're not going to go, well, you said meetings, we're not going to fund meetings, we're going to fund things that need to be done operationally at the campus. The revenue will benefit the campus, whether half of it goes to the city and the county initially, and then the city and the county will use it to offset operational budget expenses, or if it comes to the commission directly, then that revenue will decrease the amount of money that we would request from the city and the county. So maybe I misunderstood what you meant by meetings, but it will be for the benefit of the campus. May I say something else while I stand up? Thank you. There is an item on the agenda at the Marshfield City Council because the campus is co-owned by the city and the county, and thus it's called UW Marshfield Wood County. There have to be leases that mirror each other in order to progress with the construction of this communications tower. I know that the city of Marshfield has some concerns that I think we've attempted to answer, and we'll do so at common council meetings over the next 2 meetings, but I'd like some consideration by this body for the permission of the commission to mirror those leases once all the input and the discussion and everything takes place, because we do need to get input from both municipalities in order to enter into this lease. So perhaps we can talk about that as this discussion moves forward and questions are answered. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Mahan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I expressed some concern at commission over this because I was not, I would have preferred that the money from these leases came directly to the entities, the city and the county, because in my mind, it was on par with a direct tax credit to both the county and the city. There's no guarantee that we're going to reduce our budgets by $2,500. And we all know how that stuff works. And so I would have preferred to have that money come back to both the city and the county, but that didn't happen, and that being what it is.
Well, I'll get you. I just want to make sure I got nobody else first time around. Anybody else? Okay, Mr. Supervisor Clinton.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to refer this resolution to the ad hoc property committee. I think this is property that belongs to the county jointly with the city of Marshfield, and we'll know exactly what's happening there. So I would make a motion to move this to the ad hoc property committee.
Can I ask
It's a commission.
I get where you're going. I just have a quick question. I think I'm going to need Peter on this one. Peter, can I? The ad hoc committee reports to the executive committee, which actually brought this forward. Can I refer back? Am I referring back to myself?
No.
I don't mean myself, but the chair.
My understanding of the rules, although you folks are the ultimate arbiter of those, so you can decide what you want in respect of what my less than humble opinion is. But my opinion is that this board can refer back to a committee, or not refer back, refer to a committee or subcommittee to further address things, whether it comes from this commission or the ADRC. If they want further study on something, they can do that. I'm not saying it's a good idea or a bad idea. I'm just saying that you can do that. Although I think I need to make clear that this resolution was probably finalized by me before the agreement has been finalized. And then now Marshfield, just one step back. I was involved in negotiating this with two-year county board supervisors who were the august leaders of the commission for different periods of time. First Supervisor Mahan and then Supervisor Rosar. And so the county has in-house counsel, so what do you know? There I am. City of Marshfield doesn't have in-house counsel, and so he's not there. And so Marshfield wasn't as involved early on, and so now their staff is taking a closer look at it and saying, well, they have some questions and some concerns. And so, as Supervisor Rosar was indicating earlier, if this is going to pass the way it is now, then we're putting Marshfield in a take it or leave it position. So it really isn't in a position to pass. At best, if you're going to refer it back. But if you're not going to, then they really need a motion to amend this. And I think you were heading in that direction. You just didn't finalize it, Supervisor Rosar, that be a motion to amend the now therefore be resolved to support or to authorize the clerk and the county board chairman to execute a resolution that's in similar form with no substantive changes, that is approved by the commission or is similar in language to that of the city council for Marshfield, because otherwise you're just going to come back next month anyway.
Okay, let's say, I have a motion. I just want to make sure it's a proper motion. I have a motion by Supervisor Clendane. It is a proper motion. You have a second to that motion?
Yes, please.
All right, by Hamilton. Any discussion on that? All right, no, this is a motion to refer back to committee. Motion to refer back to committee. Supervisor Rosa.
So I have a question. I'm sure court counsel will be the best person to answer that. But because this is a commission that really is, in essence, functioning independently of its body that formed it, tell me, explain. Did you hear the beginning of my... Because this is a commission that operates independently of the governing body that formed the commission, tell me what the authority of an ad hoc committee would be over the commission. Do you understand where I'm going?
I believe I do. The ad hoc committee, Mr. Chairman, would have no authority over the commission. The ad hoc committee instead would response is whether or not to enter into this agreement or not. The commission's been given a lot of authority by the city and the county, but it didn't and doesn't have the authority to use property, the real property that you have up there for cell towers. That's why you had to come back to the county board and city council and the UW Board of Regents for this, and they've already approved it in a different kind of fashion. So that's why we're back here, and so you can have this ad hoc committee report to whom you want, if in fact it's going to be referred to now.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to refer to committee. It's a proper motion. Any further discussion on the motion to refer to committee? Yeah, let's vote on the board. Okay, motion to refer to committee. Okay, that motion failed. We're back to the motion, or the resolutions originally presented. Would you like to offer an amendment to that to be compliant? Go ahead, Supervisor Curry.
Is there an amendment on the floor? Or
Not yet. That's why there isn't. We're back to the motion. That's why I asked if somebody'd like to amend that to mirror what Corp Counsel Caston holds.
Well,
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Listen, I think I heard what our council told us, and I think it might be appropriate to delay this. That's kind of what I was doing, sending it back to the ad hoc committee, because it sounds to me like if we approve this today, we're putting the city of Marshfield maybe in an adverse position. So I guess make a motion to table or delay, I don't... Not to vote on this? I'll try that. I'll make a motion.
Well,
I'll second it.
Motion is not an appropriate motion.
All right, well, you tell.
You can postpone to a time certain.
Okay.
Right, let's do that.
I'll move we postpone to a time certain for the decision.
And that time being?
He's got 2 meetings.
Next county board meeting.
Next county board meeting.
Okay.
We'll deal with it then. If they've resolved the issues that we can resolve, then we can make it. Then we can vote on the resolution.
I have a motion by Supervisor Curry to postpone to the following county board meeting. I have a second by Supervisor Rosar. I will allow discussion on the motion.
And I will speak to that as well.
Supervisor Rosar.
Thank you.
I'm not sure that's a debatable motion.
It's a debatable motion, I'm sitting down, if it's not.
No, I don't think it is.
Follow the rules.
Well, I seconded it. It says,
I'm going to word on myself.
yeah, it says postpone to a certain time, debate, yes.
Okay. Thank you for having a little card.
Yeah, well, actually, because this man is such a good man, he's the one that had the little card.
Let me see. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I would support this because the city council is meeting tonight. They will have their input, and then I think we can come up with a lease that mirrors each other and then bring it back, and then you'll know exactly what Marshfield was accepting of and then we'll mirror the leases and bring it back for approval and discussion. So I think this is a very appropriate motion.
Okay, for any further discussion? Supervisor Ashcroft.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have some here that the people want to get done. They want to build a cell tower, and all we're trying to do is delay it.
No.
We have no respect for the city of Marshfield or the people that want to build this. They have to have plans and engineering. We just push it back another month for what,
May I explain the process?
Supervisor Rosar. I think Supervisor Ashcroft is trying to explain.
Yeah, let me explain to you what has been happening. When Supervisor Mahan was chair of the UW Commission, he had a discussion with the entity who was representing Verizon Communications that had an interest in building a communications tower on the campus property. It kind of drug and drug and drug, and so finally I called Mr. Begley and I said, how come this has taken so long? Well, then we found out that Verizon was reprioritizing their cell tower constructions, and we had kind of moved down on the list a little bit. So there's no imminent construction of a cell phone, of a communications tower. So what this lease is doing is it is paying a
the commission, the county and the city, $5,000 per 2 years in order to kind of just keep the land there for the possibility of a construction of a communications tower. The lease says that we can renew that lease for 2 years for another $5,000. And if at the end of those 4 years, they have decided not to construct the communications tower, the lease is null and void and we get to keep the $10,000. If they do construct the communications tower, the lease says that we will be paid $1,200 a month for a 30-year period of time for the use of our land for a communications tower that has the ability of 3 carriers with the possibility of the Marshfield Fire and Police Department putting some kind of a repeater on there. So there's no imminent, we're not in any huge big hurry there. We're kind of waiting for Verizon to make up their mind of where we're going to be on the list.
Okay, let's do this by a voice vote. We have a motion to postpone to a time certain, which is the following county board meeting. Is there any other discussion on this before I go to that? All right, let's try by voice vote. All in favor, signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that motion carries. That takes us all the way through page 77. Just a heads up, and I informed the vice chair at 12:30, I have a telephone conference to reset the reinsurance rates for the county through the county mutual. So at about 12:25, I'm going to have to step into a room and get on the phone to do that. In the meantime,
12:30 executive committee.
yeah, well, that ain't going to happen. My meeting will take about 5 minutes on the phone, but that's another deal. All right, page 78 in your packet. We have a resolution coming forward from the executive committee, which deals with an offer to purchase of the Peach and Adams Avenue group homes.
This will be Resolution 17-12-16 to accept the offers to purchase the Peach Avenue and Adams Avenue group homes in Marshfield for $260,000 each. Fiscal note, $520,000 in revenues minus some sale costs such as title insurance.
Okay, a motion by Bry and a second by Fire. Discussion on the resolution. Any discussion on this resolution? Supervisor Hamilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have one question. Where is this revenue going to land when it comes to the county?
Back to the general fund, I understand.
It is general fund.
Yeah.
I was told it might go somewhere else, just as long as it goes to general fund, like all the rest of the money coming in. That's what was one of my objections on the last one, but I'll save that for a different day. Thank you, sir.
You have another kid.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Please vote. Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you. Well, this is an issue, again, we've been dealing with. Sometimes people say this just came up. These are issues we've been dealing with for 8 to 10 years as we've looked at ways to better do business. And I think we finally got this one taken care of. I'm going to go as long as I can here. I'll leave myself about 5 minutes to spare. But Health and Human Service Committee meeting on November 16th on 107 and 108. Same committee, their meeting of November 29th on 109 and 110. The Human Services Monthly Report, meeting with Director Ruings at 111 and running through 114. Update from Edgewater Haven on 115. The Veteran Service Officers Report on 116 and 117. Supervisor Clendenning.
I would just like to say something on the Edgewater Haven. I know a couple of friends that have passed away there. At my age, I guess that's coming. I just want to say that the family really appreciates Edgewater Haven, and I've heard a lot of good remarks about Edgewater Haven lately. And I appreciate that, being a county board supervisor.
Thank you, Supervisor Clendenning. All right, CBSO, any questions there? The Health Department's monthly report on 118 through 121. The Public Safety of November 13th, beginning on 122, 23, 4, and 5. Supervisor Lynch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. While we're in the public safety, Supervisor Fire said he was going to bring this Amish issue back. Somebody has to carry the ball. I was asked to last time I did.
Commission meeting of December 5th and 126. And I'm going to, at this point, let Vice Chairman Wagner take over here, give it a hammer. I don't think our insurance rates are going to go up over 5%, but since I chair that, I'm going to step into another room and make that call.
Okay, we have already dealt with the resolutions on, let's see, what was that, 120, 127, 128, 129, 130, 131, and that brings us to the minutes of the Conservation, Education, and Economic Development Committee on page, what's that, 132. 132, 133, 134, and that brings us to the, let's see, that goes all the way through, what, 128, 138? 137. And then on 138, the North Central Impact Board. So on 138 and 139 through 141. Then on 142, the UW starts the UW Extension Report, and that goes from 142 to 145. On 146 is the Land and Water Conservation Department Report. 146, 147, 148, 49, 50, and 51. And then the Economic Development Report, or excuse me, another Conservation Economic Development Committee on 152, 153 through 156. I'm looking down at this, so if I don't see you, just holler. You have no problem doing that. Okay, and then we've got the Community Development Block Grant Program brochure on 157 through 158. And then the minutes of the Judicial and Legislative Committee on 159. And 160, 161. More minutes of the Legislative and Judicial Committee on 162, 63, 64.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Could I make a comment, please?
Yes, ma'am. You have the floor.
Thank you. On page 160, number 11, I noticed that the Judiciary and Legislative Committee discussed staggered terms. I personally think this is a wonderful idea. And when we had the big reorganization, when the resolution passed to cut our county board from 38 members down to 19, the reorganization committee at that time also discussed this possibility, and it was met with basically the same feelings that are expressed in these minutes. But I hope that at some point in time, maybe the discussion can be had again, because it is good to have some leftover people. And then some people that staggered terms, then you don't have, like, maybe somebody's really mad at the whole board and the whole board gets changed during one election cycle. And so I hope that that doesn't die where, it's not talked about again in the future. And I just think staggered terms would provide some continuity to the county board. Thank you.
I think Danny wants to weigh in on that.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Yes, an odd number of years in October and November, it's a responsibility of the Judicial and Legislative Committee and rule setting that we do this. We talk about per diems, we talk about that, and any legislation that has come down. And we have every odd number year since I've been on that committee talked about those things. So yes, and it'll probably be brought up by another odd person in an odd number of years.
Thank you. Okay, the other minutes of the December 1st, 2017 Judicial and Legislative Committee on 166, 167, and going all the way to 168.
Vice Chair?
Go ahead.
I just have a comment on page 165. You'll note that since we made that change, or the clerk has made that change in saying that there may be a majority of committees or a county board, I'd just like to know by looking at that list, you'll see there was 12 county board supervisors at the Judicial and Legislative Committee. Had that not been on the agenda that's put on weekly, we would have had to kick out probably you and I. So we would have had a majority.
Thank you. Okay, Joint Legislative Committee on 166 through 168. Wood County Criminal Justice Task Force minutes on 169 and 170. Corporate Council report on 171 and 172 and 173. Monthly report from the Child Support Agency on 174, 170, and then 175, and then a memorandum from Katrina Shanklin, Representative Katrina Shanklin, on 176 and 177, and a letter from the Emergency Management Office to various local officials on page 178 concerning the building numbering update. Yes. And then this is a claim.
Could you read it, please?
How did that get in there?
I would if I could. How's that? That's an adequate answer. This is a claim against the county on page 179, going all the way to page 183, and ending with a smiley face. Have you noticed that? Okay. And then that brings us to 184, and that's ordinance, updating the Wood County Code of Ordinances. Please, Cindy?
Certainly. This will be ordinance number 17-12-17, an ordinance updating the Wood County Code of Ordinances. Fiscal note, publication costs.
Motion by Hamilton, second by, I think that was Glendenny. Okay, and is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, please vote. Oh, Lance is, Lance is excused, yes. Okay. You aren't going to make us vote again, are you?
Yeah, I cannot do that now. Sorry, just hold, okay.
We have to vote again.
Vote again, please.
Okay,
Sorry.
vote again, please. Okay, who we got? Ms. Bray? Okay, there we go. And it passes 18-0. Next on page 185 is the minutes of the Highway Infrastructure and Recreation Committee, and that goes through 187. On 188 is the Parks Construction Supervisor's report from 188 to 191.
I have a question on page 193.
You want 190 what?
193.
I haven't gotten there yet.
You were looking down and I wanted you to look at me.
No more than I have to. Okay, please proceed.
We didn't hear too much.
Please proceed. Mr. Glendenny, you have the floor.
Okay, on page 193, I don't understand what this means. On number 2, it said Doug Mahan is out.
Was that the day you had surgery and under anesthesia?
What does it mean? He was out? Unconscious or what?
I'm not sure that's an appropriate question, but...
Well, I
probably was out at the time.
Good.
You probably have some other questions. Thank you. Any other questions on the, from 192 to 194? 195 is the Fairground Commission minutes. Discussion? No. 196 is the Central Wisconsin State Fair Board of Directors minutes. 196 through 197. And on 198 is the November 1st Central Wisconsin State Fair Executive Board Special Meeting minutes. On 199 is the SCLS Board of Trustees minutes, 199 to 202. And that brings us to 203, University minutes of the University Commission meeting. On 203 and 204, and then the unapproved minutes on 205, and then it brings us to the resolution to recognize those Wood County employees for years of devoted and faithful service to Wood County. Cindy, do you need to read that?
Sure. This will be Resolution 17-12-18 to recognize these Wood County employees for years of devoted and faithful service to Wood County.
Motion by Hamilton, second by Rosar to approve. We'll do this by a voice vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. Next up is a resolution relating to the life and public service of Raymond Kreeger. Do you want to read this one?
This will be numbered Resolution 17-12-19, relating to the life and public service of Raymond Kreeger.
I think, okay, we have a motion by Clendenny, second by Hamilton. I believe it's appropriate that we all stand for a moment of silence.
Vote on it first. Oh, we have to stand? Oh.
You stand first.
Stand first.
What's remaining is items for the next agenda